Commander Hannah Kim walked through the metal halls of Kepler 7 station. Her black uniform was clean and pressed. Behind her, 4 other humans followed in a straight line. They carried small bags with Earth's trade requests inside. The station was huge. Aliens from across the galaxy filled the wide spaces. Some had fur, others had scales. A few looked like walking crystals. They all came here once a year to make deals and trade goods between their worlds. Hannah had been to 3 of these meetings before. Earth always asked for small things. Mining rights to dead rocks and empty space. Permission to build fuel stops on planets nobody wanted. The humans never caused trouble. They just asked politely and waited for answers. The main meeting room had a domed ceiling made of clear glass. Stars shone through it like tiny lights. In the center was a large round table where the most important aliens sat. Hannah recognized most of them from previous years. The Vorthak delegation sat on the right side. They were big lizard-like beings with thick scales and sharp teeth. Each one had 4 arms and stood taller than any human. Their leader was War Speaker Drex. He had scars across his face and metal spikes driven into his skull. The Vorthak loved war more than anything else in the galaxy. Hannah walked to the human section of the table. It was much smaller than the others. Earth only controlled 12 planets. Most alien empires had hundreds. The Terran delegation requests permission to speak, Hannah said in a clear voice. The station's computer translated her words into dozens of alien languages. Clicks, roars, and strange singing sounds filled the air as each species heard her request in their own tongue. Granted, said the Zephyrian ambassador. The crystal being's voice sounded like wind chimes. State your business, human. Hannah stood up. She pulled out a data pad and read from it. Earth requests mining rights to the asteroid fields in sectors 7G through 12G. We also ask for permission to build 3 fuel stations along the trade route too. Denied, Drex interrupted. His voice was deep and rough like grinding rocks. All human requests are denied. The room went quiet. Other ambassadors looked back and forth between the humans and the Vorthak. This was not how things usually went. There was supposed to be discussion first. May I ask why? Hannah said politely. Drex stood up to his full height. He was almost 3 meters tall. Because humans are weak. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are old. Your empire is tiny. He pointed one of his 4 clawed hands at her. The galaxy belongs to strong races. Not to primitive children playing with broken toys. Several alien delegates shifted in their seats. The Benden ambassador's gills flapped nervously. Even by Vorthak standards this was very rude. I understand your position, Hannah replied. Perhaps we could find a compromise. There is no compromise with weakness, Drex snarled. You want those asteroid fields? Take them. If you can. Through the domed ceiling, everyone could see human ships in the distance. 5 small vessels floated near the station. They looked old and simple next to the sleek alien craft around them. One of those ships was the cargo vessel Soul's Pride. Captain Miho Lim and his crew of 8 were loading supplies for the trip home. They had no idea what was happening in the meeting room. Drex touched a control on his wrist. Warfleet Command, this is War Speaker Drex. Target the human cargo vessel. Fire when ready. The Vorthak battle cruiser Death's Edge hung 2 kilometers away. Its plasma cannons began to glow with deadly energy. War Speaker, the Zephyrian ambassador chimed urgently, this is a neutral station. Violence is forbidden. Rules are for weak species, Drex said. Watch and learn what happens to those who waste our time. The plasma blast lit up space like a small sun. The Soul's Pride simply disappeared. One moment it was there, the next it was expanding gas and twisted metal. Captain Lim and his crew never had time to send a distress signal. The meeting room fell completely silent. Every alien stared at the empty space where the human ship had been. Some species had never seen violence this close before. Others were shocked that anyone would attack during a peaceful summit. Hannah watched the debris drift past the viewport. Tiny pieces of her people's ship caught the starlight as they spun away into the dark. She counted to 10 slowly, then turned back to face Drex. Demonstration complete, the War Speaker announced with satisfaction. Any questions about Vorthak policy toward human expansion? The other delegates waited for the human response. Some expected tears. Others thought she might shout or threaten revenge. The Hive speakers prepared to call station security if the humans became violent. Instead, Hannah reached up and straightened her collar. Her hands were completely steady. When she spoke, her voice was exactly the same as before. Interesting approach, War Speaker. That was all. No threats. No anger. No demands for justice. She simply acknowledged what had happened and sat back down. Drex looked confused. That is your response? 9 of your people just died. I heard the explosion, Hannah said calmly. Was there something else you wanted to discuss? The war speaker's scales bristled with frustration. This was not how other species reacted to Vorthack demonstrations. Usually there was screaming or begging or immediate surrender. The human just sat there like nothing important had happened. Perhaps, the Bendhan ambassador suggested quietly, we should take a recess. No recess needed, Hannah said. She opened her data pad again. I believe we were discussing fuel station permits. Would anyone like to review the technical specifications? Around the table, alien faces showed confusion and concern. The humans were either completely insane or hiding something dangerous. In the galaxy's long history, no species had ever responded to the death of their people with such cold calm. War Speaker Drex settled back into his chair, but his 4 hands kept moving restlessly. Something about the human's reaction felt wrong. Very wrong. The next morning, Hannah Kim sat in her quarters reading reports from Earth. Her coffee was getting cold, but she did not seem to notice. Major Jinho Park stood near the door, his face showing worry. Commander, we lost contact with the merchant ship Tegu Express 3 hours ago, Jinho said. Their last message was about Vorthack ships demanding they stop for inspection. Hannah nodded and made a note on her data pad. File a formal complaint with station security. Include their ship registration and last known position. That's it. Jinho's voice rose slightly. Commander, they took another one of our ships. The crew could be dead or captured. Or they could be alive and need us to follow proper procedures, Hannah replied. She looked up at him with calm eyes. We are diplomats first, Major. We follow the law. Jinho wanted to argue, but he knew that tone. Commander Kim had made her decision. In the station's main corridor, Hannah walked past groups of alien delegates. She heard them whispering as she passed. The Zephyrian crystals chimed with concern. The hive speaker's antennae twitched nervously. Everyone was talking about the human response to yesterday's attack. They did nothing, one Bendhan said to another. The Vorthack killed their people and they just sat there. Maybe they are planning something secret, the other replied. Or maybe they are just weak. Hannah kept walking. She had learned long ago that listening to gossip was part of diplomacy. People revealed their true thoughts when they thought nobody important was paying attention. The afternoon session began with more bad news. War Speaker Drex announced that Vorthack forces had established inspection zones around 3 human colonies. Any human ship entering those areas would be searched for contraband. What contraband? Asked the Praetorian delegate, a tall gray being with large black eyes. Illegal weapons. Stolen technology. Evidence of war crimes, Drex said with a tooth-filled grin. Standard security measures. Everyone knew it was not about contraband. The Vorthack were testing how far they could push before the humans fought back. It was an old strategy. Find the weak spots, apply pressure, then take what you wanted when the enemy broke. Hannah stood when called upon. Earth objects to these unilateral restrictions on free trade. We request immediate removal of Vorthack forces from neutral space. Request denied, Drex said without hesitation. The Vorthack Empire has every right to protect itself from human aggression. What aggression? Hannah asked. Your presence in our space is aggression enough. Hannah sat back down and wrote something on her data pad. The other delegates watched her carefully. Still no anger. Still no threats. The human leader acted like she was ordering lunch instead of discussing the seizure of her people's ships. 3 days later the news got worse. Much worse. The research station at Wolf 359 has gone silent, reported Lieutenant Sunny Lee during the morning briefing. She was the youngest member of Hannah's team, and her hands shook as she read the report. Long-range sensors show Vorthack ships in orbit around the station. Hannah sipped her coffee. How many people were on the station? 47 researchers and support staff, including Dr. Min-Soo Park's xenobiology team. Major Jinho clenched his fists. Commander, that's 3 incidents in 1 week. They're not just testing us anymore. They're hunting us. I am aware of the situation, Major. Then why aren't we doing anything about it? Hannah set down her coffee cup with a soft clink. We are doing something. We are following proper diplomatic procedures. We are documenting every violation of galactic law. We are building a case. A case for what? By the time we finish building cases, there won't be any humans left to save. Hannah looked at him for a long moment. Do you trust me, Major? Jinho's anger faded slightly. Yes, Commander. Of course. Then trust that I know what I am doing. That afternoon's session was the worst yet. Drex stood before the assembled delegates like a conquering hero. His 4 arms gestured proudly as he spoke. The human research facility has been secured, he announced. 47 prisoners have been taken for questioning about illegal biological weapons research. The lie was obvious to everyone. Wolf, 359 station studied alien plant life, not weapons. But Drex did not care about truth. He cared about showing the galaxy that humans could be attacked without consequence. Several delegates looked uncomfortable. The Praetorians had trade agreements with Earth. The Benthans bought human art and music. Nobody wanted to see a peaceful species destroyed, but nobody wanted to anger the Vorthak either. Hannah stood up slowly. The room went quiet. Every being present waited to see how the human would respond to this latest attack. War Speaker Drex, she said in the same calm voice she had used all week. Your timeline seems to be moving faster than expected. Timeline? Drex laughed. Human, your people are being scattered like leaves in a storm. This is not a timeline. This is conquest. I see. Hannah nodded politely. In that case, I should probably update my superiors on your progress. She touched her communication device. This is Commander Kim to Earth Defense Command. Please note that War Speaker Drex has accelerated his schedule. Wolf 359 station is now under Vorthak control. 47 personnel status unknown. The transmission was open. Everyone in the room could hear it. On the other end, a calm male voice responded. Understood, Commander. Should we proceed with option 3? Not yet, Hannah replied. I want to see how this plays out. Kim out. She looked around the table at all the worried alien faces. My apologies for the interruption. War Speaker, was there anything else you wanted to announce? Drex stared at her. Something was wrong with this picture. No species stayed this calm under attack. No military leader accepted the capture of their people without demanding action. Human, what is option 3? He demanded. Anna smiled. It was not a warm smile. Oh, you don't need to worry about that yet, War Speaker. I told you before, I'm not even mad yet. The words hung in the air like a threat that nobody understood. Around the table, alien delegates began to wonder if they were missing something important about these strange, patient humans. The meeting room buzzed with confused sounds after Hannah's words. Alien delegates turned to each other, trying to understand what the human had just said. The Zephyrians' crystal bodies chimed with uncertainty. Their language had 17 different words for anger, but none of them meant, not being mad yet. Ambassador Zell's crystal face sparkled as she spoke to her aide. The translation must be broken. How can someone not be mad, when their people are dying? Her aide, a smaller crystal being, flickered with worry. Maybe it means they are too afraid to be angry? Across the room, the Hive Speaker delegation clustered together. Their compound eyes reflected the light as they whispered in their clicking language. Queen Voice Tick spoke for her group. The human words make no sense, she clicked. In the Hive we feel all emotions together. Joy, fear, anger, they flow through us like water. How can one being control such feelings during battle? Her workers nodded their insect heads in agreement. Perhaps humans are broken inside, one suggested. Maybe they cannot feel properly. The Benden ambassador, Reef Singer Coral, swam nervously in his water-filled chair. His gills flapped fast with stress. He had studied human culture for years, but this behavior was new to him. In our deep-sea cities, he bubbled to his aide, when someone threatens our young, the whole pod responds with fury. We sing war songs that shake the ocean floor. But this human just sits there like dead coral. War Speaker Drex watched all this confusion with growing confidence. If the smartest species in the galaxy could not understand the human response, then clearly there was nothing to understand. The humans were simply weak and trying to hide it with strange words. You see, Drex announced to the room. Even their emotions are primitive. They cannot even express proper anger when attacked. He stood up, his forearms spreading wide. The Vorthak Empire has learned something important today. Humans are not just technologically backward. They are emotionally backward too. They lack the basic instincts that drive real warriors. Some delegates nodded. It did seem strange that Commander Kim showed no fire, no passion, no desire for revenge. Every other species had these feelings. The Praetorians grew cold and calculating when threatened. The Zephyrians resonated with shared fury. The Benthans sang battle songs that could break metal. But humans? They just filed paperwork and asked politely for meetings. Hannah sat quietly through all this discussion. She made notes on her data pad and occasionally sipped water from a small bottle. When Drex finished his speech about human weakness, she looked up. War Speaker, you seem very interested in human emotions, she said. Is there a particular feeling you would like me to demonstrate? Drex laughed, a sound like breaking rocks. I want to see real anger, human. I want to see the fury of a species that knows how to fight. Show me what human rage looks like. I told you before, Hannah replied calmly. I'm not even mad yet. Yet? Drex leaned forward. What does this yet mean? Are you saying you will become angry later? When? After we take all your ships? After we conquer all your worlds? Around the table, other delegates listened carefully. This might be important. Hannah tilted her head slightly, like she was thinking about a difficult math problem. War Speaker, have you ever seen a human who was actually angry? No, Drex admitted. Your species is too weak for real anger. Interesting theory. Hannah made another note. You might want to ask some of the older delegates about that. She looked toward the Praetorian section. Ambassador Vex was an ancient being over 400 years old. He had been to many of these meetings and had seen many wars. Ambassador Vex, Hannah called politely. Your people fought alongside humans during the Kepler Rebellion, correct? The tall gray being nodded slowly. Yes, 20 years ago. Against the pirates in the Outer Rim. Did you ever see angry humans during that conflict? Vex was quiet for a long moment. His large black eyes seemed to look into the past. Once, he said finally. After the pirates killed civilians on New Tokyo. The human admiral changed. Changed how? Drex demanded. He stopped talking. Stopped joking. Stopped being friendly. Vex's voice got quieter. He just gave orders. Cold, precise orders. His fleet moved like a machine. No mercy. No prisoners. When it was over, there were no pirates left in 3 sectors. The room got very quiet. Several delegates had heard rumors about human military actions, but few had seen them firsthand. Hannah smiled slightly. That admiral was my former commanding officer. Admiral Park taught me many things about patience and planning. She stood up and gathered her data pad. I think that's enough discussion for today. War Speaker Drex, you mentioned wanting to control our entire trade corridor by week's end. That gives you 3 more days. 3 days for what? Drex asked. To finish whatever you're planning. After that, well. Hannah shrugged. Let's just say my superiors have been very patient with this situation. She walked toward the door, her team following behind her. As she reached the exit, she turned back. Oh, and War Speaker? You might want to double-check your fleet positions tonight. Sometimes things look different in the morning. The door closed behind her with a soft hiss. The meeting room erupted in confused chatter. Every delegate had a different theory about what the human meant. The Zephyrians thought it was a threat about surprise attacks. The Hive speakers believed it was some kind of religious ceremony. The Benthans wondered if humans had special night vision weapons. But Drex was not worried. 3 more days to crush the human spirit completely? Would be easy. His fleet was already moving to surround their remaining colonies. By tomorrow, every human ship in space would be captured or destroyed. He touched his communicator. Warfleet Command, this is Drex. Begin final phase operations. I want every human vessel seized within 48 hours. Understood, War Speaker. All units are moving to assigned positions. Drex grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. Soon the galaxy would see what happened to species that were too weak to fight back properly. The humans and their strange, emotionless responses would be just another footnote in Vorthak military history. He had no idea that in the darkness between stars, patient eyes were already watching his every move. Lieutenant Miho Choi had worked on Vorthak ships for 2 years. Every day he put on the gray uniform of a maintenance worker and fixed air recyclers, waste systems and power cables. The big lizard warriors never looked at him twice. To them he was just another small alien who did boring work. But Miho was not really a maintenance worker. He was a specialist in electronic warfare from Earth's 3rd Intelligence Division. For 24 months, he had been placing tiny devices inside Vorthak computer systems. Each device was smaller than a grain of rice and looked exactly like a normal computer part. When his wrist communicator finally vibrated with a special pattern, Miho smiled for the first time in months. He was working alone in the engine room of the battle cruiser Death's Edge when the signal came through. The same ship that had destroyed the Soul's Pride 3 days ago. Miho activated his hidden tools and began connecting to the ship's main computer. His fingers moved quickly across the small keyboard. Lines of code flowed across his screen as he downloaded everything. Ship positions, weapon systems, battle plans, communication codes, all of it copied in 17 seconds. Then he uploaded something else. A small program that would wait quietly until the right moment. When Vortex ships tried to fire their weapons tomorrow, they would get a surprise. Miho packed his tools and walked calmly toward the exit. A Vortex warrior stopped him in the corridor. "Worker," the alien growled. "Where are you going?" "Shift change," Miho replied in the simple galactic trade language. "Next worker comes soon." The warrior looked at him with yellow eyes, then waved him away. Miho had played this role so well that even he sometimes forgot he was really a soldier. Across the galaxy, other sleepers were waking up. Captain Jaiwan Han commanded what everyone thought was a simple cargo ship called Gwangju Trader. For 3 years, she had carried grain and manufactured goods between human colonies. Her ship looked old and slow compared to modern alien vessels. But the Gwangju Trader was not really a cargo ship. Hidden behind false walls were missile launchers, shield generators, and jump drives that could outrun most military vessels. The grain in her cargo hold was actually sensor equipment disguised to look like food. When Jaiwan received her activation code, she called her crew to the bridge. All 15 of them had been pretending to be simple traders. In reality, they were some of Earth's best naval officers. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jaiwan announced, "playtime is over. Remove the cargo bay covers and bring weapons online. We have Vortex hunting parties to deal with." The ship transformed in minutes. Gun ports opened along the hull. The engines powered up to full military strength. What had been a slow cargo hauler became a fast attack vessel ready for battle. On the bridge of the Vortex destroyer Blood Fong, Captain Thek watched his sensors with confusion. What is that human ship doing? Its power signature just tripled. His weapons officer leaned over the control panel. "Sir, I'm reading military-grade shields and missile locks. They're targeting us." "Impossible," Thek snarled. "It's a cargo ship. Fire warning shots." But when he pressed the firing controls, nothing happened. The ship's weapons computer displayed an error message in perfect Vortex script. "Have a nice day. Earth Defense Forces." Before Thek could react, the Gwangju Trader fired 6 missiles. The Blood Fong exploded in a ball of superheated gas. Similar scenes played out across 12 star systems. Human merchants revealed hidden weapons. Research stations turned out to be monitoring posts that had been watching Vortex movements for months. Even the captured station at Wolf 359 was not what it seemed. Dr. Suna Yu had been waiting in the station's medical bay when Vortex soldiers captured the facility. They thought they had taken 47 prisoners. They did not know that the station had been built with hidden rooms and secret passages. As soon as the Vortex ships docked, Suna and her team moved through the hidden tunnels. They placed explosive charges on the enemy ship's fuel lines and computer systems. Then they waited. When the activation signal came, Suna triggered the charges. 3 Vortex vessels exploded while still connected to the station. The shock wave damaged 2 more ships and sent them spinning away into space. But the biggest surprise was still coming. In the deep space between stars, Admiral Yuna Seo sat on the bridge of her flagship Incheon. Around her, 36 other ships hung in perfect formation. They had been waiting here for 6 months, completely invisible to enemy sensors. These were not converted cargo ships or disguised traders. These were pure warships, built in secret shipyards on the far side of Earth's moon. Each one carried weapons that no alien species had ever seen before. "Admiral," reported her tactical officer, "all sleeper agents have activated. Enemy fleet positions confirmed. We have them completely surrounded." Admiral Seo nodded. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were sharp as laser beams. "Open communication to all units. This is Admiral Seo. Operation Patience is now active. Decloak and take positions." Across 3 star systems, space itself seemed to come alive. Ships appeared from nowhere like ghosts becoming solid. The Vortex Empire's mighty war fleets suddenly found themselves trapped in carefully planned kill zones. On board the Vortex command ship Empire's Fist, Warspeaker Drex stared at his sensor screens in shock. Dozens of human ships surrounded his forces. They had appeared without warning, like they had been hiding in empty space. "How is this possible?" he roared at his tactical officer. "Where did they come from?" "I don't know, sir. Our sensors showed nothing. The space was empty." Drex's 4 hands shook with rage and fear. "Get me a communication line to that human commander on the station. I want answers now." But when he tried to contact his own ships, he found that his communication systems were not working properly. Strange messages appeared on his screens. Tactical data was replaced with pictures of small Earth animals called cats. His weapons targeting computer kept playing human music instead of showing enemy positions. For the first time in his military career, War Speaker Drex realized he might have made a serious mistake. The humans had not been weak. They had been waiting. And now they were done waiting. War Speaker Drex tried to contact his fleet commanders, but every communication channel was filled with strange noises. Human music played where battle reports should be. Pictures of small furry animals appeared on his tactical screens. His weapons officer pressed buttons frantically, but nothing worked properly. "Sir, our targeting systems are completely scrambled," the officer reported. "I cannot lock onto any human ships." "Then fire manually," Drex roared. "I am trying, sir, but the computer keeps asking me to enter a password. It says, 'Please contact your local IT support for assistance.'" On the main view screen, Drex watched human warships move into perfect attack formations. They moved like they had practiced this battle 1,000 times. Every ship knew exactly where to go and what to do. The first Vorthack vessel to explode was the destroyer Rage of Krex. It had tried to run toward empty space, but 3 human ships were already waiting there. The destroyer lasted exactly 12 seconds against their combined firepower. Admiral Yuna Seo stood on the bridge of the Incheon and watched the battle unfold. Her gray hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her uniform was clean and pressed. She looked like she was watching a training exercise instead of a real fight. "Admiral, the Vorthack command ship is trying to surrender," reported Lieutenant Kaiwan Nam from the communication station. "Tell them to power down all weapons and prepare to be boarded," Admiral Seo said calmly. "And send word to Commander Kim on the station. Operation Patience is complete." The battle ended in 18 hours. Not because the fighting lasted that long, but because it took time to capture all the scattered Vorthack ships. Most surrendered as soon as they realized their weapons would not work and human vessels surrounded them on all sides. Back on Kepler 7 station, the alien delegates gathered in the meeting room again. This time, War Speaker Drex sat in a prisoner's chair with electronic restraints around his 4 wrists. His scales had lost their shine and his head hung low. Commander Hannah Kim sat across from him, looking exactly the same as she had 3 days ago. Calm, polite, and completely in control. "I have a question for you, War Speaker," Hannah said. "Do you understand now what I meant when I said I was not mad yet?" Drex looked up with confused yellow eyes. "Your ships, they were waiting. Hidden. How long?" "The Third Fleet has been in position for 6 months," Hannah replied. "But we have been preparing for this conversation much longer than that." She touched her data pad and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed a timeline going back 3 years. Red dots marked every place humans had visited. Blue lines showed trade routes. Green symbols marked where human workers had been stationed. "Every maintenance worker on your ships," Hannah explained. "Every trader who sold you goods. Every diplomat who attended these meetings. They were all gathering information and placing equipment." The alien delegates stared at the display in shock. The network covered half the galaxy. Thousands of humans had been working together on this plan for years. Ambassador Zell's crystal body chimed with amazement. "You planned this entire war before it started?" "We planned for the possibility," Hannah corrected. "The Vorthack Empire has a history of attacking smaller species. We studied that history and prepared accordingly." Reef Singer Coral's gills flapped rapidly. "But why did you not fight back immediately? Why wait and let them hurt your people?" Hannah's expression grew slightly colder. "Because we needed them to commit fully to their attack. If we had responded to the first ship, they might have backed down and tried again later. This way we dealt with the entire problem at once." War Speaker Drex finally understood. "You used your own people as bait." "We used volunteers who knew the risks," Hannah said firmly. "Every human on those captured ships and stations was a trained operative. They knew their mission was to make you think we were helpless." She pressed another control. The hologram changed to show the current positions of human fleets throughout the galaxy. There were far more ships than anyone had realized. "The beautiful thing about human anger," Hannah continued, "is that we rarely need to use it. We have found that preparation works much better." She gestured toward the viewport where human ships were already helping rescue Vorthack survivors from damaged vessels. "We could have destroyed your entire fleet. Instead we captured most of it intact. Your crews will be returned home after they sign peace agreements." Queen Voice Tix clicked nervously. "What happens now? Will humans demand tribute? Territory?" "We want exactly what we asked for 3 days ago," Hannah said. "Mining rights to some empty asteroids and permission to build fuel stations. Nothing more." The delegates looked at each other in amazement. Humans had just demonstrated the power to crush one of the galaxy's major military forces. But they only wanted the same small request they had started with. You could take much more, Ambassador Vex observed. We could, Hannah agreed. But we don't want more. We want to trade peacefully and be left alone to build our civilization. She looked directly at War Speaker Drex. Your mistake was thinking that patience meant weakness. In human culture, the most dangerous person in the room is usually the one who stays calm while everyone else is shouting. Drex's voice was barely a whisper. I have never seen preparation like this. Years of planning for a war that might never happen. Oh, we prepare for lots of wars that might never happen, Hannah said with a slight smile. We find it helps us sleep better at night. The meeting ended with formal surrender documents and new trade agreements. As the aliens filed out, they carried with them a completely new understanding of humanity. The humans were not weak. They were not emotionally broken. They were simply playing a much longer game than anyone else in the galaxy. And they were very, very good at it. From that day forward, when alien species wanted to threaten someone, they made sure to check first if humans were involved. Because nobody wanted to discover what happened when a human actually did get mad.